What is up, y'all? My name is Jay the Prodigy here with Echo Innovations, and today we're going to be talking about picking what model is most suitable for your particular use case. Now, that's not what's on the screen right now, and that is because there's a couple things to take into consideration before you even get to that point, I would say. So, firstly, what even is open source? Now, you may know the answer to this question, but some people may not. So generally, open source in the general software development realm means that the code base is open. You can view it, you can modify it as you need it for your particular case, etc., etc. Now, that is not exactly what's happening when it comes to open source models or open source LLMs. What that's referring to is the weights being used in the model are open source and available, and you can see those. Now, in some cases with LLMs, the publisher, whoever made the actual model, will also publish the data set that it was trained on, but that's not always the case. Meta, with their Llama models, did this, I think, for Llama 1 and 2, but for Llama 3 and 3.1 and 3.2, they have not done that. So it's kind of hit or miss there, but that just kind of gives you an idea of what I'm referring to when I say an open source model. So why would you even bother using an open source model? Now, in a lot of cases, it's probably not worth it. In most cases, if one of these three things, scalability, data privacy, or security, is not your concern, it's probably not for you and probably not optimal. And what I mean by scalability is if you are, say, for example, utilizing LLMs to generate scripts for a podcast, well, you're going to be using a lot of tokens. And that's assuming that you're going with the first output the LLM has, which generally is not the case. I would imagine you'd want a couple revisions here and there, emphasis on certain things, etc., etc. So at that point, you're going to be using a lot of tokens. So at a large scale, using an API would not be necessarily viable. If data privacy is a concern, an API is not necessarily viable. And if security is a concern, if you have certain compliance frameworks or regulations that you're trying to work within, APIs are also not the way to go. So in any of those cases, I would say open source is the way to go. Or if, availability is a concern even, then open source is probably also the way to go. So that's why, those are the main reasons I would say why you would bother using open source, unless you're just like me and you just prefer to have power within your own hands. So a couple examples of what you can actually do with open source AI, enough just kind of talking about the idea. There's a lot. Code generation, error checking documents, customer interaction, internal chatbots, email generation for marketing, transcribing text from unformatted data sources like documents, appointment setting, text classification. I think you get the point. The possibilities are pretty much endless, and this technology is incredibly versatile, assuming you have the skill set to augment these LLMs, of course. Now, the ones I've highlighted in blue are ones that I'm going to kind of dig a little bit deeper into just to kind of give you an idea of how an open source LLM would look in the context of these particular integrations. Now, Jacob kind of did a video regarding the internal chatbot functionality. I'll leave a link to that in the description. But for today, I am going to be talking about code generation to augment developers and transcribing text from unformatted data sources, since I feel like those are pretty widely sought after use cases, I guess you could say. All right, so here we've got the kind of just broad view of the concept of augmenting a developer utilizing open source LLMs. And here you can see for this, I chose the model CodeG X4. So I'm just going to kind of be trying to walk y'all through my thought process of deciding this is the model I want to use, It wasn't anything too crazy. I think you guys will find some value in these resources, especially if this is something you're wanting to get in and play around with yourself. You'll be golden. So here is my AI space, and you'll see here I have this leaderboard open. I love leaderboards. I love statistics. I love benchmarks. This is what that is. So pretty much what this is a series of tests that people will put various models up against, and obviously they achieve a ranking. So in terms of the open source AI, or this is not even all open source, obviously you've got Claude and GPT, but in terms of the best coding models, these are it. So as you can see here, Code GX4 is number 3. It's a 9 billion parameter model, and a lot of the other models up here are much, much more compute intensive than 9 billion parameters. So it was kind of a no-brainer from there. So coming back over to here, that's why I chose this particular model. And then Continue Dev is just a VS Code extension that will allow you to connect to your Ollama API endpoint. And as you can see here, any context that you pass in from VS Code will go to Continue. It'll be forwarded from Continue to Ollama. Ollama will utilize an embedding model to actually embed that context into your conversation. It'll get sent back to Continue Dev. And then from here, you'll be able to ask Continue Dev, or technically Ollama, any questions you have regarding your currently open file or whatever context it is that you had passed in previously. So that's kind of how that would work. Like I said, this is a real example. I do use this myself practically every day, and I love it. So for example number 2, we've got sanitizing the data from an unformatted source. Now, so here we've got the filthy data. So if you've got a PDF that maybe one of the fields is not designated as a text field, and you've got people putting some funky stuff in there, then this might be a use case. If you've got people sending you documents of all different types of formats, and you need to extract the information, extract the text, and put it into just a standardized format, then this would also be a use case. So here we're taking the dirty data, the PDF, the picture, the Word file, whatever it is, and we're passing it in. We'd probably convert it to a PNG or something like that and pass it into Pixtral 12b. Now, Pixtral is a multimodal model, which means that it can do text and it also has vision capabilities. Basically, it can do more than one thing. So either text to text, and text to voice, or speech to text, and like, you get the point. It has to be able to do multiple different modes of interaction, I guess you could say. So anyways, we'd pass it into Pixtral 12b using its vision, and from here we would pretty much instruct it to transcribe any text into a specific format. More than likely, I would use something like JSON. And then from here, we could always pass this JSON output directly into another model like Llama 3.18 billion. And if we wanted to either error check or spice up that text, then we could do that there and have it output probably through traditional means. The LLM wouldn't do this, but through just a traditional encoding or whatever technical word method. I'm not functioning at this moment. It's pretty late, but pretty much you would end up outputting whatever like singular format, standardized format that it is you would want to have outputted for this. So with that being said, that's how you can choose a suitable model for your use case. Like I said, I'm going to attach all the benchmarks that I use in the leaderboards in the description, and hopefully they're of use to you. Really, the biggest thing is to just get in here and play around with it for yourself. Aside from the hardware to run all these things, this is completely free. So why would you not? But with that being said, my name is Jay the Prodigy. I'm with Echo Innovations, and I hope you have a great day.